let's turn that off, turn this on, and I'm back. Oh my gosh, everyone, I missed last week and it was so frustrating. I was so disappointed we couldn't do the live stream last week. But the good news is, even if I had done the live stream last week, I wouldn't have been ready because of the ServiceNow Store updates. So that's been the story. Let me fix something on my screen real quick. Let me just, whoop, and there we go. Yeah, so if you didn't know, the ServiceNow Store got a facelift, an update, and so it looks very different. We'll get into it in the episode here. I'll publish this episode as a separate standalone video too, not just a live stream, but it was different enough that it slowed me down because of the old way I used to compare the previous release to the new release of something that was updated in the store. And I'll show that here in a second. And also, it is going to change the way that I kind of crawl the store now that I understand there's a relationship between the ServiceNow release and the version number and the release notes that wasn't apparent before in the old way they had the store. So lots of changes coming. And then I was traveling last week, and so it just made it really, really difficult to do like a live stream of explaining what was going on. I couldn't do that either. I was from a hotel, so anyways, enough about that. Welcome to my house. We're going to talk about ServiceNow Store highlights, episode 2025 version 2025-0416. So normally these come out on Monday. Technically, I had everything prepped on Monday, but I didn't have anything recorded. And I was like, I don't have a content for my Wednesday live stream yet because everything's been nuts with travel. So I said, let's just do it live and let you guys see an episode live, how it really goes. If you have questions, if you have a comment, if you have a clarification on something you see, drop a note in the comments on YouTube or LinkedIn. Also, if you didn't see it on the pre-roll, I will be in Montreal, Quebec next week on Wednesday, April 23rd, talking about Yokohama. So if you haven't seen that on LinkedIn yet, go check it out. It's on my profile. I'll do a post again this week. But if you're in the Montreal area or Quebec area and it's easy for you to get there, I have no idea because I've never been there before. But I will be live in person, physically in person, not streaming or anything. So, and I'll be talking about all things Yokohama. And then my last announcement before we get started is I will also be at Knowledge 2025 in Las Vegas the week of May the 3, 4, 5th, 6, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. So 6, 7, 8, I think is the official conference. The 5th is the Monday, and I'll be there that Monday doing some MVP stuff. That's when all of our MVP activities are, or some of them. So I'll be there Monday, but I'll be there all week. So look for me. I want to do some content creation while I'm out there. So if you see me with my camera, know that I'm recording. So don't come up if you don't want to be recorded. But if you don't see me with my camera or just whatever, just come say hi to me. I'd love to meet everybody that I can while I'm out there. And that's it. So let's get started. SSH version 2025 0416. You can see here, it's a consolidated episode because we missed last week, April 7th. Should have been last week's episode last Monday. And I rolled that into this week's episode. There were about 100-ish applications on last week's episode, and there were 30-ish on this week's episode. So that gives us a total of 137 new, updated, removed, downgraded applications, 2 compatibility updates, 1 downgrade, 41 fixes, 2 ghost applications, 13 highlights, 48 minor updates, 12 new releases, and 18 release notes fails. So let's talk about this release notes fails. Usually, this is pretty darn accurate from what I'm able to tell from reading the release notes. However, I'm going to caveat it in this episode and say, don't go judge these people because the user interface is so different in the ServiceNow Store that it was really hard to tell. And this is what slowed me down. If someone had new updates or it was a previous release notes updates, and unfortunately my crawler, because of the new rollout, didn't capture previous release notes in enough context because it got trimmed up to like 20 characters to compare to the existing release notes that I'm seeing in the store. So that's on me to fix. But in the meantime, it seemed like an abnormal amount of release notes fails. 18 is unusual for our episode. So let's get into it. Compatibility updates, logic monitor, data exchange, and screen meet beam were the 2 compatibility updates. They were either to Xanadu or Yokohama. I don't remember specifically. There was one downgrade. Let's actually check it out. This is Microsoft Entra Permissions Management. And you saw my first pet peeve there. Okay, let's do that again. Watch what happens when I click on this link. I get the old store, then I get the new store. Come on, ServiceNow. That's annoying. Why not just give me the new store? And you'll see here as I go on, I'm going to pull up another app that doesn't even go to the new store. It stays in the old store. So I don't know what's going on. But Microsoft Entra Permissions Management, let's see what version they're at now, 1.0.1. And I flagged this as a downgrade. So let's go see why I think this is a downgrade. I do have enough version history there to show that we were at version 1.1.0 and we've been downgraded to 1.0.1 is why I flagged that as a downgrade. So that's and it's still a downgrade since I crawled. So that's the one downgrade. It should come back, I guess, whenever that gets fixed. Let's go into the fixes. Speaking of fixes, and before I run through the list, I'm going to show you some weirdness around the ServiceNow Store. So all of the cloud costs, cloud spend, and cloud integrations applications were updated by ServiceNow at some point over the last 2 weeks. But if you click on those links, they stay in the store, the old store. And I want to show you how I used to see what was going on with these and what's so different. So I used to be able to come in and click a version history and see what you're seeing here. So I could really quickly say, that's new, that's new, that's new. It's not a release notes fails, and they've done a fix. And I was able to update my database and say there's a fix. That was pretty simple. However, now that this new store is out, we'll let the new one load, go to version summary, and there's now 2 drop downs. There's no continuous running history any longer. I have the platform release as a drop down independent of the version release drop down. So now when I have to go see what changed between these apps, I got to go, okay, what happened before? Okay, they migrated this. And then now I can see this is a fix and it's legit. It's not a release notes fail. For some of them, there was only one version here, and I'd have to go back through Xanadu, I'd have to go back through Washington, D.C., and try to find the previous version. So I got some work to do to fix my crawler, so it's not so hard to review these, but that's what's up with the differences in the store. So let's take a look. What were the fixes for this episode? ArcSight ESM event ingestion for security operations, cloud cost management AWS, Azure, Core, GCP or Google Cloud, cloud cost management infra stack, cloud integrations AWS and Azure, cloud spend reports AWS, Azure, Core, and GCP. Scrolling down here, CSM and FSM Configurable Workspace Foundation, CSM Configurable Workspace, Decision Table Builder, DLP Incident Response Integration with Proofpoint, Employee Center Core, Flow Designer, and FSM Configurable Dispatcher Workspace was the first page. Second page, FSM Configurable Workspace, Impact Common, Impact Content, ITSM Process Mining Content Pack, Jira Spoke, Mitigations Control Monitoring, Now Assist for Code Generation, Playbook Experience Components, Security Center, Security Operations Logarithm Integration, and SN FSM Components. The rest of that page is Splunk Enterprise Event Ingestion for Security Operations, Splunk ES Integration for Security Operations, SuccessFactors Spoke, Systran Translator Service Spoke, Task Intelligence Admin Console, Tenon Marketing Automate Email Spoke, and Threat Intelligence Security Center integration with CrowdStrike Falcon EDR. And our last lonely one, UI Builder, had some fixes. So ServiceNow has been fixing some things. I'm assuming it's post Yokohama released. We did have 2 ghost applications. Let's make sure they're still ghost. Yep, the first one, AI plus regulatory content, is a ghost, and the second is still a ghost, Bitbucket cloud integration with DevOps. So if you were using these 2 from Templar Shield and ServiceNow, they are no longer in the store. I don't know the story, but they're no longer there, so you might want to pay attention to that. Now, we did have a bunch of minor updates too. Let's run through those real quick. 1E CMDB Connect, 1E Core, 1E Service Catalog Connect, AD Manager Plus, Akamai API Security Integration for CMDB, Apiro ASPM for Application Vulnerability Response, ARIA Billing Studio, ARMIS Incident Integration, ARMIS Security Incident. I'm checking to see if there's comments. AWS SiteWise for OT Health, Certify, CG4 Asset Tracking, and CMDB CI class models had some minor updates. And then rounding out page 1, Coupa Spoke, Dispute Rules, Content Pack for Visa, Financial Services Card Operations, Financial Services Operations Integration with Visa, Guided Decisions Guidance, and Guided Decisions Experience. Getting tongue-tied with all the guided decisions. Next page, High Trust Assessment Exchange, IBM Z Discovery, Indoor Mapping, International Mobile Service Automation, Kyndryl Integration Base, Kyndryl Integration Incident Inbound, Logic Monitor Incident Management Integration, Mobile SDK Libraries for iOS and Android, Netscope app for Security Incident Responder, New Relic Alerts Integration, Peak Perform, Portal Pro, and rounding out page 2, primary data integration with Coupa, Service Graph Connector for 1E, Service Graph Connector for Armis, Service Graph Connector for Clarity, Xdome, and Metagate, Service Graph Connector for Juniper Mist, Service Graph Connector for Science Logic, and Service Graph Connector for Terraform. Whew. Third page and our last page of the minor updates. SN Component Guidance Experience, SN Guided Action Experience, vBrick Video, Visa Spoke, Vonage Contact Center, Vulnerability Response Integration with Clarity, Xdome, and Metagate, Vulnerability Response Integration with HSale AppScan, and X-Type View. Whew, my goodness, that's the hardest part of the episode, is reading those off, and sometimes they're too long for me to even read. And lastly, the release notes fails. Again, don't hold these developers too accountable for this because of the issues. I won't say these are 100% until I fix or modify my crawler to capture the new way that they're, maybe it's not new. The new way that they're displaying the versioning is what I need to account for. But that list is at devsnc/uibtk-api. That's the UI Builder Toolkit API, which, fun fact, I learned in troubleshooting UI Builder for a company, that this application is what UI Builder uses to talk to itself or talk to this platform. It's the API, so that it can do that. Anyways, random facts. Next up, Advanced SN Connect ADP Lyric, AMS1 Confluence Articles to KB, API Service Graph Connector for Kong Gateway, Button Component Tenon, Enosix SAP integration for PO and asset management, Falena Access Guardrails, Hexaware Platform Inspector, Localwise Automated Translations, Logic CPQ for sales order automation, Modal Component Tenon, and Neuron7.ai Core App. And then rounding out that list is Return Center, Sphinx Integrated Financial Management, Skill Kit Tech Assist, and then Tenon Marketing Automate Textbook and Tenon Marketing Automation were the semi-release notes fails for the episode. All right, let's get to what you've all been waiting for, I assume, is the new releases. So first up on our list is Advanced SN Connect ADP Workforce Now, seamlessly connecting ADP Workforce Now and ServiceNow for secure and real-time data sync. We'll jump to the key features: real-time HR updates, increased HR efficiency, reduced manual effort and errors, enhanced data security, unified HR ecosystem, improved employee self-service experience were the key features for this new application from the team at Advanced Solutions Core. Next up is asset tracking and insights. Track assets, monitor locations, view history, and streamline maintenance. Key features for this one: track asset and personnel movement, real-time location tracking, comprehensive asset performance monitoring, predictive maintenance, and audit and asset missing detection. Whoever is the developers that do this kind of like bold at the beginning and then some more details at the end, I love this because it saves my voice, but it still allows me to kind of articulate what this application actually does without reading, gobs and gobs of text. So thanks to the team at Iotag Pty Ltd. I don't know how to pronounce that, but maybe it's a different language. Next new release is Fundever, Simplify Giving, Amplify Results. Key features: donation campaign management. Whoops, let's fix that there. Donation campaign management, event planning and coordination, AI-driven fundraising insights, personalized donor engagement, customizable campaign and event pages, and integrated payment processing are the key features for this new app, also from Advanced Solutions Core. The next one is Impactify, also from Advanced Solutions Core, maximizing efficiency and impact for greater mission success. Key features: goal and strategy alignment, activity planning and tracking, customizable impact indicators, AI-powered insights and forecasting, real-time dashboards and reporting, and collaboration and transparency tools. I was actually was wondering if this was an app or if this was a service, and it looks like, okay, so the button is buy now. So I'll try to pay attention to these buttons as we go through these new applications and identify anything that's not an app. Next up, Infosys. Now I'm back on the old interface for no apparent reason. It's not even a ServiceNow app, which I was assuming might be the reason. But anyways, Infosys ESG management with ServiceNow, streamline ESG reporting with Infosys using automation and ServiceNow solutions. Key features on the functional side: domain-led ESG consulting, define ESG reporting metrics, ESG data capture with templates, ESG standards and metrics calculation, and data mapping. On the technical side, it's using the ESG module in ServiceNow, integration with SAP systems, automated metrics calculations, notifications, persona-based access, and ESG reporting and dashboards. And this is what I was trying to look out on the new interface. It is not an app. It is a learn more so their sales team can call you and sell you some services application in the ServiceNow store. So that's what's new from the team at Infosys Unlimited or Limited? Limited. Looks like we've got a rinse and repeat for Infosys HR Service Delivery. Delivers efficiency, AI-driven support, and seamless HR experience. Key features on the functional side: HR domain skills, HR data models, employee experience, lifecycle events like onboarding, HR shared services, HR persona design, document management, and a managed service model. On the technical side, employee center portal, HR workflows and virtual agent, workflow-based auto routing, service level agreements, notifications and SLAs, agent workspaces, integration with third-party systems, and reports and dashboards. And again, this is for services, not actually an app to install in your instance, and that's what's new from Infosys Limited. Next new application is from Tenon, the Journey Builder component. Now, if you haven't seen an episode before, mostly it's ServiceNow that does this, but the team at Tenon Software has been kind of imitating how ServiceNow builds their apps, and they're appetizing. No, that's the wrong word. They're appifying. Yeah, appifying the components that they're using in UI Builder. So each of those components gets released as an app, and then they're usually a dependency on the parent app or the application that's actually using them. So these aren't things you necessarily would install in your instance. They're things that would come in as a dependency. But when we crawl the store, we see everything. And so this is the new Journey Builder component from Tenon. Let's take a look at those key features. It's a custom component to build journeys in Tenon Automate. So Tenon Automate would be that parent application. Next new app is the not-for-profit or nonprofit common data model, NCDM, from Advanced Solutions Core. One data model, limitless impact. I bet this has to do with their other two applications. Key features: modular and extensible architecture, standardized entity model, relationship mapping across processes, reusable components, interoperability-friendly design, 360-degree reporting compatibility, configurable without code, and audit and compliance ready. Yeah, thank you, Advanced Solutions Core, again for the great key features. It makes it super easy to read. The next new release is the NPSM Portal Experience, also from Advanced Solutions Core. These people have been busy, haven't they? Transforming grant management, fundraising, and events for nonprofits. Let's take a look at those key features. This intuitive portal experience enhances access to all NPSM nonprofit service management products. Which I think is their previous products we just saw as new releases. It centralizes multiple products in one place, enables the publishing of private and public pages, and includes a role-based workspace for reviewing tasks, applications, approvals, queries, and more. And that's what's new from Advanced Solutions Core. Next up, Protect IT. Assess and measure the business impact of your IT infrastructure. Key features: conduct business impact analysis via ServiceNow assessment engine. Ooh, are they using the smart assessment engine? They didn't say smart, but yeah. Anyways, I love the new smart assessment engine, except for one thing. Measure and track confidentiality, authenticity, availability, and integrity of configuration items. Automated calculation of availability targets against business processes, and recalibration and inheritance engine to apply CIAAU targets to related CIs. And I think that CIAAU is this. So let's see: confidentiality, integrity, authenticity, availability. Not sure what the U is. Unavailability, maybe. But yeah, I'm not familiar with that abbreviation. It might not mean that at all. Who knows? But that's what's new from the team at Cerity GmbH. The second to last new application is Smart Gen Change from Coforge Limited. Smart Gen Change application harnessing agentic AI for seamless change management and knowledge empowerment. This should be interesting. Key features: Smart Gen Change application leverages agentic AI to automatically generate the following: detailed post-implementation reviews by compiling essential information, including current change details such as implementation plans, risk and impact analysis, backout plan, test plan, closure code, closure notes, and work notes. Additionally, it compiles related records like change tasks, associated problems, incidents resolved by the current change, incidents caused by the change, and similar change records. Second item that it generates is standard operating procedures or SOPs as knowledge articles by gathering key information, including current change details such as implementation plans, risk and impact analysis, backup plan, test plan, closure code, closure notes, and work notes. Additionally, it compiles related records like change. This is the same description as before. Blah, 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 blah. Ensuring accurate, consistent documentation and enhanced knowledge management is the only change from that previous second sentence up above. And that is what's new from the team at Coforge Limited. Off to our last new application, Tenon Marketing Journey Builder. Obviously, this is the application that would use that Journey Builder component we saw earlier. Tenon Marketing Journey Builder allows marketers to build engaging journeys with their customers. Key features: email, SMS, and landing page builders, integrated asset storage, email sending with integrated ESP, SMS sending with integrated provider, and reporting are what is provided with this new application from the team at Tenon Software Inc. And that was our new releases, which leaves us with the highlights. We got some good highlights this week. I don't know if it was because of the combo episode and combining everything, but you'll see here the release notes are pretty extensive and pretty helpful. So first up is AppViewX. It was updated to version, I don't know how I should say this, Yokohama 25.02.1. But if you go to Xanadu, it has the same version, and then I have the previous version. So this is the kind of funkiness I was telling you about how I now need to compare. If I'm looking at Yokohama's release notes, I have no context of what the previous release notes were. Then I have to go to a different release, and then I can see the previous version, and I see that, okay, they did update the release notes, so it's definitely not a fail. I'll work through all that eventually, but let's see for this one. New features on around certificate automation. Microsoft standalone CA certificate authority support for CLM operations. I think that's certificate lifecycle management. Enroll, renew, revoke. Multiple issuance option for created certificate. Common name validation in renew catalog. Additional field to show private key. Available option, increased metadata count of 30, log purging, and additional devices for push, Linux server, Tomcat, and Microsoft server. On the service catalog, certificate lifecycle management, I almost said contract, certificate lifecycle management, create, renew, revoke, and service portal support. And then the mid server is now supported, I guess. And then supported versions on-prem, blah, blah, blah. We don't care about any of that. I'm still getting used to these new release notes, but that is what's new from the team at AppViewX. Next up is Automate Pro. Automate Pro was updated to version number 9.0.1, and in this version, they've introduced support for Yokohama, product analytics, and multiple bug fixes for their auto test, I guess, application, manual testing, conditional execution, test block parameterization, that's a word I struggle with, test library explorer, and multiple bug fixes. For auto deploy, multiple bug fixes, and for auto doc video generation with an asterisk requires Automate Pro Plus. Generate videos with AI narration from your test results. That's pretty cool. I like that. I could use that, but I can't buy it because I don't have an instance to purchase it from. But anyways, that's what's new for the team at Automate Pro. Next up, Citrix IT Service Management Connector was updated to version number 25.4.0. And in this version, they support Yokohama, and there's some new features. They might be kind of behind my head, so let me scroll up. I'm not used to doing this live. Usually I get to edit and do stuff in post. Support for Yokohama, ServiceNow event management integration. Customers can now configure policies to forward Citrix alerts and notifications to the ServiceNow event management platform. Enhanced error handling, bug fixes, and performance improvements. I think the part that made it a highlight for me was the event management integration. I know there's a lot of Citrix customers out there, and that might be helpful in managing events and responding proactively to fix things. Next update is Customer Experience Assistant. It was updated to version 1.1.0, and in this version, they updated prompts for improved accuracy, added catalog configuration table to allow an administrator to offer conversations to users after their form is submitted, added VA or virtual agent skill conversations for get help, fix issue, and obtain information, and added agentic AI version of the conversation for fix issue. And that's what's new from Deloitte Limited as trustee for the Deloitte Trading Trust. That's new. I don't remember seeing that company description before. Next up, deployment guide was updated to version number 1.2.2, and we'll scroll up again to get above my head. The release notes for this one, a new development guide admin role was added. For a better overview, they implemented a new dashboard containing information on overdue deployments, active deployments, and deployments of only completed items. The possibility to move items between deployments is also new, and an item conflict detection. They added supersede version items. In case you complete an instance deployment of a version item, there will be a possibility to mark any same or lower version of that application as superseded on the affected instance. When creating a new version, items get overwritten. In that case, all its instance deployments are skipped automatically, and elements of the guided setup were renewed. And that's what's new from the team at Archive? Yeah, Archive AG. Man, my pronunciation is not great today. Next up, DevOps Utils from the same team, Arctiv AG, was updated to version 1.2.0. And in this version, they've introduced a new syntax editor macro for scheduled job condition scripts, a new logger for GS logs, and mass email protection were the updates for DevOps Utils. The next update is ESG Content Accelerator. It was, look, just staying on the old version again. It was updated to version number 20.0.2. And in this version, they expanded the framework support, added the Corporate Sustainability Due Diligence Directive, CSDDD framework, included citations and metric definitions. Emission factor update incorporated latest eGrid emission factor content, 2025 release. And under the change category, GRI standards updated, content refreshed to reflect the latest Global Reporting Initiative standards, and SASB enhancements, metric definitions added for technology and communications, software and IT services industry aligned with latest SASB standards. And that's what's new from the team at ServiceNow for that highlight. Next up, eSignify was updated to version number 2.5.7. And in this version, they replaced processors with scripted REST API, transitioned to a responsive dashboard, display need to update client redirect URL in the dashboard update documentation, included an update client redirect URL button to point to the latest scripted REST. eSignify homepage has been deprecated and replaced with the Next Experience dashboard. New DocuSign sender are required to configure OAuth connection to DocuSign. DocuSign Connect support data format REST version 2.1, aggregate or send individual messages. Add support for Employee Service Center. Update to use DocuSign API version 2.1 and eSignify map update helper update documentation. And that is what's new from General Networks Corporation. Let's see, next new app, or next updated app, sorry, Google Security Command Center SIR application. It was updated to version 1.2.0, and in this version, they've introduced dynamic field mapping, mute findings and rules, user-defined mute/unmute criteria, muted findings dashboard, and deep linking were the new features in this release from the team at Google LLC. Next updated app or highlight is Matrix Digital Monetization Orchestrator. I need that. This release exposes all Matrix digital monetization TM forum compliant APIs to ServiceNow CPQ to orchestrate subscriber and charging activity. Matrix APIs can be orchestrated to create and manage users, subscriptions, and groups, create and manage devices, add/purchase and deactivate/cancel product offers, change existing subscribers, groups, devices, product offers, and users, manage customer balances, credit limits, and notification thresholds, retrieve price plans, billing cycles, balance classes, thresholds, and service types, and initialize balances for on-demand balance intervals. This release also exposes Matrix catalog item APIs to integrate and sync with the telco's enterprise product catalog. Great release notes from the team at Matrix Software Inc. Our third to last highlight is Service Graph Connector for Forescout iInspect. It was updated to version 1.2.0, and in this version, there's been some enhancements. Monitored network support. The integration now supports iInspect monitored networks and IP reuse domains into ServiceNow as IP network subnets and managed network records. Each IP address created during a host import will now be associated with an IP network subnet and a managed network based on the host's IP address information. Under protocol support, they added support for OT protocols, populating the OT protocol and protocol instance tables in ServiceNow with iInspect client and server protocol data, and under the OT device IRE criteria and attribute support, with updates to the CMDB CI class models application. The integration now supports the OT device, that's CMDB_OT_entity, class's new IRE criteria and attribute. IRE stands for Identity and Reconciliation Engine, and is what you should be using if you're importing anything into the CMDB, which is what this application is doing from Forescout TPP. Our second to last application highlight is Software Asset Management by ServiceNow. I don't think I've ever featured this one before. Um, and now I know I featured it. So I wanted to point out some other buggy weirdness in the store, and that you're seeing it right here. So version 2.1.2, unknown release, but there is Yokohama patch 1 that has 2.1.1. I don't know what to do with this. So basically, minor reconciliation performance issues have been fixed. This would have been a fix, but I wanted to highlight this weird UI issue in this new ServiceNow store. Last highlight of the episode, UDesign. UDesign was updated to version 2.0.0. And in this version, wow, new features. Let's see if I can summarize. Assigning data hub elements to shapes, real-time indicator text readability, re-login functionality, real-time collaboration experimental, generate and attach board preview, avoid nodes option for relationship type, and new container and group shapes. Under improvements, reset style for shapes, border for text shapes, visualization, unified naming conventions during export, and a hierarchy map. They added alphanumeric sorting for better content organization, introduced styling options for greater customization, and improved content alignment when indicators are present. Under redirection, clear messages for restricted access when trying to open boards in presenter or editor mode. I need to summarize this better. Automatic redirection to the home page with a message when attempting to access a non-existing board. Under frame, remove size restrictions when increasing frame dimensions and set a minimum size. Enhance usability of resizing circles when zoom level is low. Improved arrow usability on frame size for resizing. On the home page, there's new folders at the bottom when a similar name already exists, and optimized loading requests when using the filter dialog. Under enhanced visibility, they improve the visibility of selected objects when zoomed out, and clearer background and border options in the toolbar when selecting shapes and relationships. Under performance enhancements, faster application loading time and reduced response time for applying templates. Enhanced accessibility, added new possibility to use links when selecting shapes in the toolbar, and improved toolbar positioning when selecting shapes and relationships. Under notifications, they added notification messages when enabling or disabling features using shortcuts, and improved relationship handling, optimized relationship path persistence during mode switching and page reloads, and default relationship type switch from avoid nodes to orthogonal for improved performance. There were also some fixes. I'm not going to read through these because it's a lot, but this is a big update from the team at, who is this from? INS-PIINC or Inc. So yeah, UDesign was our last highlight for the episode, and that's everything. So let's take a look at what you just saw or heard. We're not going to finish the stream yet, but I'm going to finish the episode itself. 12 new releases, 13 highlights, 2 compatibility updates, 48 minor updates, 2 fixes, 2 ghost applications, 41 fixes, 1 downgrade, and 18 release notes fails. So if you've never seen an SSH episode, that is exactly how they're recorded. I get a lot of questions about how I make content, how much time do I spend on editing, and removing filler words and stuff like that. You just saw pretty much what happens. Now, if it's a really, really big episode, sometimes I'll pause and take a breath or a swallow of tea or something like that in order to gather my thoughts or pace it better. But that's pretty much how an episode of SSH is shot. The next step after that would be to take the recording that I do when I record it and put it into my video editing software. I use Camtasia. If you guys haven't heard of that, I want to use some different ones. I'm particularly interested in DaVinci Resolve, and some of the YouTube creators that I follow that I like their stuff. They use what is it called? It's on the Mac. I'm using a Mac. Final Cut Pro, I think. There's a couple of creators that do some really cool things with Final Cut Pro that I don't think I can do in Camtasia. So I plug it into there. I make my edits. I add some music at the end, I think. I used to have music throughout. Everybody complained about it. I liked it, but everybody else complained about it. So now I just have it at the end on the outro. And then I also use that recording. If you've not seen it before, I don't know how I'm going to do this going forward, but let's take a look at, I want to show you something here. Where was it the minor updates? Had the cloud cost stuff, or is it fixes? It's fixes. So what used to happen when I would click on these and open them while I'm recording is it would have this nice screen here. And so I'd go in and take a screenshot of that part of the episode, and then I take that screenshot and I edit it down, take my head out of the picture, and then I create this carousel that I post on LinkedIn, usually the day after the episode, that just highlights the new applications. So that was great. But now with the new store look, I haven't actually even tried to see what this might look like. So yeah, it's much bigger. So you can see right here at the top, the title is actually coming over my head. So if I cut out my head, I'm going to cut out part of the title. So I'm going to have to work out. And like, why do I need to show a menu item on stuff like that? So I need to figure that out. Second thing I want to show you that I forgot to mention earlier when we were looking at the old presentation for the store versioning. This is gone. So I also kind of depended on the vendor or the developer kind of specifying this is a patch release, this is a major release, this is a minor release. I'm not seeing that in the new store format. And that was a good kind of indicator for me as the curator of the show, is to kind of know, hey, is this something big? What did they see it as? And I'm just taking a look again real quick. So we've got this section for the summary. So there's their tagline, the ratings, application scope, pricing, custom table count, latest version, and compatibility. And then we have links to all the information below: app details, key features, which is what we covered in today's episode, ratings, other information, but none of that is around versioning. And then I get the versioning stuff. So this is where Justin lives, where I spend most of my time. But I notice I don't have the major, minor, patch, fix. Used to be another one. I don't have that anymore. So I'm having to kind of rethink how I process these episodes. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. I do overall like the new interface. I think it's weird that it loads the old interface. Let's just see that again. You'll see the old interface and then replace it with the new interface. That seems like a waste of time. Like, why not just take me to that? Or is it some kind of user preference that I don't know? I don't know if I can even sign in to the ServiceNow store because I'm not an actual customer. I subcontract with partners, but I'm not an actual customer, so I can't really sign into the store. But anyways, that is how that's done. Who do I got here? Looks like we do have some people out there. If you have questions, if you have seen the new store and you have an opinion, I'd love to hear what you think. I don't have much other content planned. Let me take a look and see if there's anything about this episode that I wanted to share. We should be back on schedule next week. Like I said, when I opened the stream, I will be traveling next week from Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. That's when I'll be in Montreal on Wednesday. So if you're nearby, definitely come check that out. I'd love to see you there, meet you in person. It's actually, the event is sponsored by, you know what, let me pull up the graphic for that, because while I'm talking about it, I have that in my downloads, open house sessions, live stream opener. Let's just see if I can get there. There's me. There it is. Let's shrink this down. So, so yeah, I'll be in Montreal on the 23rd. It's sponsored by a company called Unito. They do integrations with different software as a service applications, and one of them is ServiceNow. So it's really neat that they're engaging with the ServiceNow community. If you've ever done integrations in ServiceNow, by nature, right? Because you have system A and system B, they can be complex. There's a lot of logic that goes into it and kind of mapping and stuff like that. What Unito does is they kind of take away a lot of that technical requirements around, like, I need to write the REST API and make my call and then transform the object and do something with it in ServiceNow. And then when something happens in ServiceNow, I need to call another API for another application and keep things in sync and know what's changed here and what's changed there and how to way to track it. That's all the stuff that's built into an integration. And so Unito kind of takes all that away, makes it low code, drag and drop, set up your integrations, and hopefully next week, well, not hopefully, I'm going to do it regardless if I'm doing it at the Unito office or not. I should be able to do it from my room, but I should be doing a live integration for my live stream next week. So this advertisement here, this happens at, oh man, they're going to kill me for not remembering this, 4 o'clock, I think, Eastern. Sometime after, near when people get off of work, I think was the idea, right? So people are, leave a little bit early, stop by the Unito office on the way home, and check out the Yokohama details from your friendly MVP. That's me. And then before that, my live stream should be at 1 p.m. So I'm hoping to do a Unito integration so you can see kind of why that is interesting. So that's my plug for next week. I did mention that I will be at Knowledge. So let's check out Knowledge 25 while we're live streaming here. So I will be there. I'm going to be there starting Monday the 5th. But it's all week, May 6th through the 8th. I went last year, and it was my first time last year since the first time I went to a Knowledge conference. The first time I went was 2017, was down in Florida, in Orlando, which I liked it down there too, but it wasn't as much going on like once you left the conference as there is in Las Vegas. It's a totally different venue, but so yeah, I'll be there. I'm going to be looking to not just generate content, but to network, to talk with people. I'm really interested in your stories and kind of putting that out there, but coming at it from a different angle. Like a lot of the times, ServiceNow's marketing or their corporate efforts kind of have they have a message, they have a mission, they have a purpose, they have an objective that they're trying to sell ServiceNow or engage the community. My objective is for everyone to learn. That's been, I sign off all my shows, except my live streams. I don't usually. I sign off all my videos with always be learning. That's important to me, and that's why I started the channel, because I want people to learn. That's how I learn. And if I don't know how to do something, I go to YouTube and see if someone showing how to replace a electrical outlet or something like that I don't know how to do. So that's my goal. So I'm not 100% sure, but I'd love to get some spontaneous content, maybe like quotable clips from people, or interview style. I am totally open. I'm going to have cameras. I'm going to have mics and be hauling that all around Las Vegas. So if you see me, please, I'd love to connect. And even if you don't want to be on camera, I'll shut them off. I'd love to connect however you're most comfortable. So don't think that to be around me, you have to be on video. I know not everybody's comfortable with that, video or audio. So I'll be there. I'm not sure. I haven't got a chance to register for sessions yet. I know that went live last week when I was on site with a customer, and I still haven't had a second. For those of you that don't live in the US, yesterday was the tax deadline, so it was a bit of a scramble for me, trying to get all that done. I still didn't get it all done, but luckily you can do extensions here and stuff like that. So those are my two plugs. Montreal next week, Knowledge I think it's 2 weeks after that, so I get a break between. But I'll be there and would love to connect with you guys. And yeah, so you've seen a ServiceNow Store highlights episode. That's how they're made. Hopefully next week we're on schedule for creating the next one. And I don't think I have much else. Let me just pause a second, see if there's any comments, questions from the community. I'll give it enough time for the delay in me speaking and you seeing it. And while I do that, let me try to put on some music. I tried to preload some music. Let's see here. I had the volume all the way down. Live. Here we go. I've done this one already. Let's try this one. The name of this one's called High. Is my volume too? It's thinking about it. Doesn't want to do it. Any questions? I don't even know if anybody's still watching. It shows there's 3 people on LinkedIn, and on YouTube, it kind of shows like I have 9 views, but I don't think there's anybody live actually watching. So still not sure how to read that, but no. Why is my media not working? Here we go. Play. Hi. Told you the name of it was Hi. going to sign off. And I said I'd never do it on here, but I'm going to do it the right way. Don't forget to always be learning. It's really important to me. I hope it's important to you. Thanks, everybody, for watching, and we'll see you next week. Hopefully, I'll be doing an integration with Unito on next week's live stream. Take care, everybody. Appreciate all the support.